So our new
Go
segment
ahead.
on the show, we've seen some people doing it before. We figured, why don't we put our own 2 cents into our first edition of Overrated or Underrated? And we're just going to jump right into it. It's pretty self-explanatory. You either call something anything that you could possibly think of in your brain, and you give it the rating of overrated, underrated, or properly rated. I think properly rated is it's fair to have that, you know, because it's hard. I think a lot of these are gonna end up being properly rated.
And I got a rule. You get 20 seconds to explain your reasoning. So you got to be ready to fire. So both of us, we both get 20 seconds for each one.
That's fine. I mean, we could even go less than that too. I don't really care.
Well, we could go 20 is the limit.
Got it. 20 or less. 20 or fewer seconds to explain your answer.
Explain. Oh god, I'm ready.
Overrated or underrated? Excuse me. Overrated or underrated, Jared? Avocados.
Properly rated because there's so many people that hate them and so many people that love them. But the people that love them are way too hipster and they like avocado toast and they talk about it too much. And the people that hate them say it's because it's slimy and doesn't have good texture, but they're really healthy. So I think you can meet somewhere in the middle and call them properly rated.
I think avocados are underrated, and here's why. Excuse me. Avocados are underrated because of the health benefits that they provide for you that a lot of people don't know about. They obviously taste amazing. They're not incredibly expensive to acquire, and they do a lot more benefit for your body than people realize. It's not just eating fucking lettuce or tomatoes. It's actually got essential vitamins and fucking other bullshit that I don't know about.
All that shit, yeah.
But like healthy fats, healthy oils, all this shit that's actually good for you. So I would actually say, believe it or not, avocados are underrated.
Yep. Oh, how about this to add to you? You can use them in so many things.
Correct.
Okay, well, add that. That's it. That's my last goal. All right.
Overrated or underrated, Jared? New Year's Eve.
Overrated only because it's such a big date that it's always kind of you build it up in your mind so much that it always leads to some sort of disappointment because you always picture it being this glamorous thing with fucking shiny streamers and bad bitches everywhere and everyone's dressed all nice and the night goes perfect and you get home and you start the new year great. Really just turns into being fucking at a party that ends up being you get a little bit too drunk and you wake up and you're extremely hungover to start the year and it didn't actually meet your expectations.
Yeah, New Year's Eve is, I think, the most overrated holiday on the American holiday calendar. It is every single year, most people go into it thinking, oh, we're going to go to this. We're going to go to the bar. We're going to do this New Year's in 3, 2, 1. And then it's just over. Like, it's over at that point. Now it's like, it's 12:15. Should probably head home, you know? Like, it's not like there's just the buildup for it does not meet the the buildup and the expectations doesn't meet the actual result. So New Year's Eve is violently overrated. Violently. Overrated or underrated, Jared? Just bacon. Your classic bacon. American bacon, by the way.
Bacon is overrated because its consistency is always kind of dog shit. You can have really good bacon, but there's more oftentimes you have bad bacon. A lot of times there's too much fat on it. It's not the right crispiness or it's not crispy enough. It does go well with a lot of things, but I just think that the way that people talk about it, like bacon all the time, is just too much for the fucking lack of consistency I see out of it.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I think bacon is properly rated. I think because if I get a plate of bacon, even if it's a little overcooked or undercooked, it still smacks, you know. But it's not to the point where, it's not to the point where I'm like, oh, bacon's so fucking good. Like, it's really good. And I've had some great bacon in my life. Like you said, I've also had some underwhelming bacon. So I think it's properly rated. I don't think anybody loses their mind over bacon. I think it's a breakfast food that a lot of people enjoy having. It's kind of like, you know, scrambled eggs or anything else. It's like, it's properly rated. Some people don't even really like bacon. I think bacon's right where it should be. So I like bacon as properly rated. Overrated or underrated, Jared? Brunch. Brunch. It's a good one.
Brunch is underrated. Brunch is fucking awesome, dude. Especially a weekend brunch. Oh, you can't beat it, man. You wake up a little bit late, and brunch usually means that you had a lack of responsibilities in the morning because you were able to wait long enough to eat at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Plus, it's usually around really good company. It's a great way to like start the day off and have a great vibe. Maybe fuck around, do a little bottomless mimosas. Or if you're not trying to get it completely bombed and ruin the day, you might just have a Bloody Mary or two, then switch to a beer to roll through a Saturday. So in that case, I would say that brunch is underrated.
Brunch is underrated, absolutely, because I feel like a lot of people think it's this ritzy or kind of a girly thing. I think mainly it's a lot of girl people. The stipulation around brunch is like brunch with the girls. Like the girls want to go have brunch. First of all, the food usually smacks. Second of all, you're usually in some capacity. If you're not hungover, then you're going to get a great meal. If you are hungover, even better because you're going to A, cure the hangover by slamming mimosas, and you're going to get a fucking delicious breakfast wherever you choose to go. And on top of that, you also don't have to get fucking hammered. And if you have plans the rest of the day, you got a ball game to go to in the afternoon, you got a party, a house party later that day or whatever, hanging out with your friends, anything, and you go to brunch, you got plenty of options. Most of the time it leads towards probably drinking too much, which sucks. And then you're like, oh, fuck. But you also have the option to just not drink too much. And you could have a mimosa, have maybe a second mimosa. Then, like you said, transition over, you know what, let me get a Coors Light. Finish off the Coors Light. Then you go through the rest of your day and you're like, you know, I feel great. Sun's out. Because you don't usually go to brunch when it's cold. I mean, if you do, you got plans. You usually got plans afterwards, is what I'm saying. If you don't have big plans, you usually end up hanging out with the people. It's just, and then worst case scenario out of brunch, Jared, is that you get literally bombed, like blacked out. But that's fine because then you just go home and it's 1 p.m. and you just sleep. Just go back home and fucking sleep the rest of the day. So brunch is wildly, wildly underrated. I would highly recommend anybody who doesn't get brunch at least once a month, do it. Do it. Overrated or underrated, Jared? Fireworks.
Properly rated because I think there's a lot of expectation that goes into fireworks on like the 4th of July, but in all other times, fireworks are usually in a fucking additional thing to celebrate the moment. They usually arouse the idea of a good time happening or something to be celebrated. So even if it's not that great of a fireworks show, it's better than not having fireworks at the end of something. I do think in the same capacity as New Year's Eve, if you're expecting the fireworks show to fucking rock you out of your chair and be unbelievable, that some people could go ahead and say that they're overrated. But I think that fireworks just are a way to celebrate an event that accentuates the greatness of whatever that event or that celebration was.
Yeah, I actually, believe it or not, as big and rambunctious and flamboyant as they may be, I still think fireworks are underrated. Because how many times are you, driving or like maybe I got this more like in a place like San Diego where I grew up, but like every night in San Diego, the SeaWorld had their fireworks and people would like pull over on the freeway and like watch them and shit, which is like maybe a little bit too much. But every time I see fireworks, I'm at a venue, Rockies game, I'm at 4th of July, it's Memorial Day, whatever the situation is. And they're like, oh, we got fireworks, a ball game, whatever. Or how about, Jared, how about when the fireworks go off, like during an event? Like, I remember when I went to a Luke Bryan concert at the Broncos Stadium, and I wasn't expecting the fireworks, and he's playing his songs, and he's like, I got that real good, or whatever, playing some Luke Bryan fucking pandering bullshit. And then right when the beat dropped on, like, the start of the chorus, like, the fireworks shot up from behind the stage, like, big fireworks. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah, you're just like, whoa, like, fuck, like, that's sick.
They evoke an emotion of excitement for sure.
100%. 100%. So I actually think they're underrated. And even on 4th of July, it's like, yeah, you could say they're properly rated, but that's 4th of July. The rest of the time, I think they're underrated. So I like fireworks to be underrated. I think they are. Yeah. So moving on, Jared, overrated or underrated Fast and Furious movie franchise?
I think you already know the answer to this one,
Yeah,
but
this
it's
is an easy
definitely
answer.
it's definitely overrated. And you know what they did is they just kept going. They
Yeah.
should have just stopped. They knew they could make money off of that loyal fan base, and they fucking ruined the movie for the rest of us. Even if they would have stopped at Fast Five, I think Fast Five was pretty cool when I think The Rock was in that one. I think that was Fast Five. If they would have stopped right there, I'd have been like, okay, maybe you pushed it a little bit, but you stopped at a tasteful time. But I think there's like fucking 7 of them now. There's so many spin-offs of it that I just fucking have a hard, like, I guess it's for the guys that fucking jerk off to WRXs, but I don't know. Like, if you have an RIP Paul Walker fucking sticker on it, that means that you would disagree with me, and that's okay
Yeah.
because it's overrated.
No, it's obviously overrated. Like you said, it probably would have been properly rated at 4 or 5. Maybe that opinion or viewpoint changes because if you were to ask the same question to a 9-year-old kid, he'd be like, underrated. These cars are fucking sick. They're in space, fucking explosions. But it's like after the 7th one, you're like, guys, okay. Like what possibly more could we be covering? It doesn't make sense to me. So, overrated, underrated, Jared, laser tag.
Crazy overrated.
Yeah.
If it could properly be executed, where the technology was like money team, and you like strap on this thing. It's usually at like a shitty arcade. I've never played like really good laser tag where I'm like my gun feels like it's working. I feel like the shit's just kind of off. You're like pulling the trigger right at somebody's thing. You could be right up next to it and it's not scanning it. And then you just get tagged. And I don't know. I've never had a time where I played laser tag where I left and I was like, I want to go play laser tag again soon. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna call it overrated. But like at the same time, I don't know how many people actually fucking are in love with laser tag. So in my mind, it's overrated, and I don't love it. So
I think laser tag is overrated unless it's like I don't know. If you're a kid, same type of thing. They're probably going to say underrated. We had a really cool laser tag joint in my neighborhood when I was growing up. That was a little bit higher end than just like the classic fucking kids arcade. Like it was a designated laser tag only type of place, and the venue, or I guess whatever you would say, the laser tag arena was like cool. It was really badass. But like you said, you get all hyped up for it. You go into this room with the black lights and the fucking vests on, and then you shoot somebody, and your gun is like fucking pseum, pseum. And then they're like suit, like lights, like it's just a little bit underwhelming. So I would say overrated on laser tag for sure. But doesn't mean you can't go laser tag when you're a kid or take the. I don't know. It's overrated.
Yep.
It's overrated. Overrated, underrated, Jared. Naps. Overrated, underrated.
naps are underrated as fuck because it is so hard to actually execute a nap. Like that, whenever I've actually taken like a midday nap, that window's open a little bit, I think there's a little breeze flowing through there. It's all quiet and you're on your bed and you just get that midday snooze and you wake up 35 minutes later and you actually got a little bit of a deep sleep and you feel re-energized. That's amazing, and it's so fucking hard to do in the world of like technology we live in, because like try to take a nap and lay down with your phone there and like not fucking go and fidget with it and just never actually execute the nap, and then realizing you only had 35 minutes to get the nap in anyway and you never actually fucking get it done. So naps are underrated and very hard to execute.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Naps are underrated if executed properly. If you are able to execute a nap or you're able to lay down like on a weekend without any actual time restrictions or anything, and you can execute properly and you are open to sleeping for 3 hours in the middle of the day, fucking do it. And it's underrated. One of the greatest, I don't even know what you'd call it. One of the greatest periods of sleep I've ever had in one sleep was when I was in high school, and my buddy and I we went out on the water to surf for like 8 hours total the entire day. We got on the water at 6 a.m. and we surfed and surfed and surfed. until like 1. We were so dehydrated, so hungry, and we finished surfing, and his dad had rented a house right on the beach. So we go up to the house, thirsty, hungry as fuck. His dad is cooking up carne asada tacos, Jared, with like fucking filleted veggies and salsa. He's got a couple beers for us. I'm up there. I'm like sun beaten a little bit. I'm super tired. I'm fucking working my ass off surfing for fucking 5 hours. I hammer like 8 tacos. Just hammer them. Mix in 2 beers, and I lay on the couch. And like you said, window was cracked. The fan's going on the ceiling. It's like 68 degrees in there. I'm dead tired, and my stomach is so full. I'm not shitting you, Jared. I didn't even mean, the best nap is I didn't even mean to fall asleep. I was just laying on the couch. And then next thing you know, I woke up and I felt like I had become one with the couch. My body was melted into the couch. And I was also a good sign, like sign of a good nap. I was dripping sweat, dripping. And I loved it. Like I just woke up and I was like, oh my God, you know, like,
Who am I?
and it was like in 2 hours went by, and I went out to find everybody, and they're like, yeah, man, you fell asleep. We just let you sleep. And I mean, it was excellent. So naps, long story short, naps are definitely underrated. Overrated or underrated, Jared? Chick-fil-A.
Properly rated. It's fast. It's consistent. The fucking service is goddamn outstanding. I know that I'm sure Chick-fil-A wouldn't appreciate the way I said that, but that's okay. Chick-fil-A is properly rated because it's the same consistency every single time, but they psychologically fuck you to death by never being open on Sunday because Chick-fil-A seems like the thing that like usually a lot of people's like kind of like cheat day is on Sunday, where I would actually go and just pop Chick-fil-A. I'm not like a big midweek Chick-fil-A guy, but just the consistency of it, you know? Like I said, the service is good. It's fast. Even if there's a huge line, you're going to be in and out in 10 minutes.
Yep.
And you know, decently fair price. 2 chicken sandwiches and a drink for like $12 or whatever, $13 maybe.
Yeah. I think
Underrated or properly rated.
I would say Chick-fil-A would be underrated. They'd fall into the underrated category if they were open on Sunday. And I understand you got to respect the Lord's Day, and that's their policy and procedure, but it's also complete bullshit. So figure it out, Chick-fil-A, because you want to increase the value of a franchise like that. Open on Sunday, and you guys would be fucking trillionaires. You guys would have unlimited money if you were open on Sunday. That being said,
but maybe
maybe that's what makes it so delectable on the other days.
They get you coming back in because you're like, fuck, I want a Chick-fil-A that day. Couldn't have it. I'm going twice this week now rather than just once. So
it's fair. I think it's properly rated. I think it's very good, very consistent, excellent service, like you said. Chick-fil-A sauce is arguably the best fast food sauce, in my opinion. Properly rated. If they were open on Sunday, underrated. Overrated, underrated, Jared. Craft beer.
Overrated as fuck. There's too many of them. There's too many fucking little guys out there with beards and top hats roaming around somewhere with rolled up jeans and no shoes on, just fucking mixing together all sorts of different concoctions and coming up with different names. Some of them just taste like shit anyway. It's like, oh, this one's orange dreamsicle. And you're like, oh, let's see what you mean, but this is like a Blue Moon fucked an IPA. It's not really that good.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think craft beer is wildly overrated and also heavy as shit. Like, I mean, maybe like if that's the way if I liked to drink like that and be like, I'm gonna go and enjoy one beer and just, you know, sit on a patio. And like, I get it. Like, oh, you'll have one craft beer, but I mean, that's just not how we roll. That's not how I roll. If I'm going out with my friends, I want to be kind of getting a little bit lit up and I want something lighter than craft beer. So I think of that facet and just the kind of fucking hipster Patagonia jacket wearers that like it. I don't like craft beer. Well, I don't not like it. I think it's overrated.
It is overrated. Craft beer, I think the ratio of craft beers I've actually drank versus craft beers I've actually enjoyed it's 7 or 8 to 1. Like it takes me 7 or 8 craft beers to finally find one where I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't bad. But the rest of them, like, what does that taste? Like, what did you guys mix in? Oh, it's a pear fucking agave double brewed. I, I don't want it. I want a Coors Light. And if you're gonna mix in a little orange, that's fine. A little lemon, I get it. A little more hops, a little lighter. I'm fine with some variation, but craft beer, I think what makes it so overrated is the douchebags that surround the craft beer enterprise. It's like, if you guys weren't so fucking douchey, I would drink probably more craft beer, and I would pay $17 for your 6-pack. But now it's like, dude, you really, like, you have like, do I have to walk into your fucking craft brewery and you have to be wearing Birkenstocks? Really? You have to be wearing those? Like, just wear normal shit as a grown ass man, and I'd probably drink your craft beer. So, craft beer is overrated. Overrated, underrated, Jared, just celebrities. It's a broad term, but celebrities.
Overrated as fuck. They're just people, man, and
Yep.
they just get like this angelic glow because this angelic glow about them because all these people are looking at them and all these eyes are looking at them. They're able to make money in ways that are really frustrating. Um, and then also they're fucking smug as shit half the time.
Yep.
It's like like you have to compliment a celebrity about when they're nice and personable. When it's like in reality, it's like fuck that. Be a good, cool person, and like you shouldn't just be. It's tough to say as a non-celebrity because people probably are always on your shit, and that's probably why they're smug. But like overall, it's just it's not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't respect them as much as somebody that's fucking hanging outside that courthouse right now throwing scrapbooks in.
Yeah.
I won't look at them like that. They put their fucking pants on one leg at a time, and they have way more fucking privilege than most people. So, and then their opinions are taken way too seriously as well. It's like
Yep.
it's just a fucking person. Its brain works just like us. Just because he has a big platform or she has a big platform doesn't mean that it should hold more weight than the person that can logically make sense out of a situation.
100%. Yep. Celebrities are overrated as fuck. They're just dudes. They're just gals. And their opinion does not hold more weight than anybody else's opinion, unless you're more educated. But the problem is, a lot of these celebrities act like they're just as educated as a college educated person, a doctor. They act like doctors. They act like fucking PhDs, and they're not. They're just dudes. And that's why it is sometimes refreshing when you come across or you see a celebrity that's actually like cool and relatable and chill and not a douche. You're like, oh, this guy's cool. It's like, no, he's actually just a normal dude. He's not a complete stuck up motherfucker, like you said. So celebrities are overrated as fuck. Overrated or underrated? The beach.
The beach, being not from
Yeah, we'll
like
have different answers here for
yeah,
sure.
being from a landlocked state, I fucking love going to the beach. But I know, I went to see my buddies in Miami not that long ago, and they're like, "Fuck, how long we have to be here? We're going to the beach." And I was like, I get why there's probably like a hassle about it if you live there because it's crowded and shit, and like hard to park and you get there. But like for me, I love being out in the water, getting rolled by a wave, out in the sun. There's hot girls. You can have a beer or two or a little cooler with you. In my experience, because the beach has been so limited, the beach is underrated.
It's fair. That's fair. It's a fair assessment, but you're wrong, and the beach is way overrated. The beach fucking sucks, dude. The beach sucks. I grew up with the beach, and I'm telling you right now, Jared, there are so many more things I would rather do than go to the beach. But what I will say is I can understand why people would like the beach. Of course, it's extremely relaxing to be in an area like a beach on the sand, sound of the waves crashing, shirt off. It typically puts, if you're at the beach, you're probably in a pretty relaxing space, mentally, physically, everything. The part that they don't put in fucking movies or whatever in your mind when you go to the beach that you don't think of. The fucking sand is everywhere. Everywhere.
I've never seen a beach without sand, to be honest.
The sand, and I'm not talking about the sand is just sitting around on the beach. I'm talking about if you go in the water,
if you ass crack sand.
if you go in the water, the sand will find inevitably every single crevice of your body, your clothes, your bag, your car. It is so overrated. And not to mention, Jared, I'm not really sure about you, but I'm not a guy who particularly loves voluntarily putting myself in a situation where I could be eaten alive by another fucking animal. There's about a million other things I could do where I'm not at risk of getting my fucking leg chomped off at any given second. Well, the likelihood of it's happening is 1 in a more likely to get struck by lightning. Well, it still could fucking happen. And by the way, it's not just sharks. It's not just sharks that could hurt you at the beach. Jellyfish, stingrays, which by the way, I've had my run-ins with both. I've been stung by jellyfish. I've been stung by stingrays. I've been pinched by fucking crabs. I've cut my feet on rocks under the water. Dude, so overrated.
Oh, dude, I will say rocks like a sharp rock at the beach will fucking man, that shit. You're
It's
out there
so overrated.
Trustworthy. We're about to go hit the sand. You go, and you just jam your foot on.
Oh, and by the way, every time you go to the beach, there's just seaweed everywhere in the water, on the beach. People act like every beach ever is just this tropical paradise. It's half the year. The beach is fucking disgusting, like gross. And like you can't even go to the beach. So the beach is overrated. That's my rant on the fucking beach. This next one will play into the beach stigma that I have because I grew up with it. But overrated or underrated In-N-Out Burger?
Properly rated. It is properly rated because I know that it's all the East Coast fuckers out there. No, here's what happens. Here, I guess I think it's properly rated because I think it's fucking wonderful. And there's In-N-Out here now. I lived in Arizona for a couple of years, so I went to In-N-Out there. It's kind of like on the same things that I like about Chick-fil-A. Super consistent, fairly cheap. The menu's not like too big, and the service is great every time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I like about In-N-Out. I think the food is fucking bomb. You got to be definitely in the mood for like some greasy shit, but people bash on it, but you know why people bash on it? People bash on it because there's so many people that overrate the fuck out of it.
Yes.
And you're expecting to go, it's all about expectation. A lot of these things on the list have had expectation. You're expecting to go there and you bite this thing and you fucking just nut in your pants.
Yeah.
That's basically what people expect the first time they have it because they've heard about it so many times and they haven't had access to it. And when they finally have it, they go, well, I mean, that was okay. Well, you drew this fucking Mona Lisa of a picture up in your head, and you got to understand it's just good for what it is. It's not fucking better than that.
I agree. So, I think I think if you're asking me if it's overrated or underrated from the perspective of somebody who's from Iowa, I'll tell you that it's overrated compared to what the Iowa people will tell you who've had In-N-Out Burger once in their life. But for the people who grew up around it, who've had it consistently, like myself, I think it's properly rated. The price is very affordable. Like you said, the service is always excellent. It's not bad. People who are on the opposite side of the coin are like, it's so overrated. Holy shit. They act like it's just fucking McDonald's. Like, it's not. It's better than McDonald's. It's actually really quality ingredients. It's a good experience every time I go. But I'm also not going to act like you said, it's the greatest thing I've ever tasted in my life. It's a burger. It's a better burger than most burgers you'll find. And it's got a good price. The fries are a little soggy. That's fine. They make up for it with a fucking delicious milkshake. So I think it's better than any other burger you'll find for the price range, 100%, which makes it properly rated. Overrated or underrated, New York City?
Okay, so I haven't actually been to New York City, so it's gonna be tough.
Then you can
tough
fuck
for me
off.
to like. Yeah, it's gonna be tough for me to say. I'd say that New York City, though, like in the last couple of years has become extremely overrated
Yep.
because it's like you can't fucking do anything there. I don't want to get like political about it, but it just seems like that's
Well,
the one
no,
place that's always
everybody
getting locked down.
knows it.
It's
Yeah.
there's just so many people packed in on top of each other. It's kind of dirty. People are
No,
rude. I've
dude, people that
heard.
were living
I
there
haven't
in the last 2
I
years will
haven't been
tell you
there.
that it's been shitty. Like, it's not anything to do
Yeah.
with anything political. It's just like, unfortunately, with everything that's happened, it's gotten like dirtier and like lower quality people and everything. And people will tell you that, you know what I mean? But yeah, for me, I think New York City is, I think it's overrated. And I don't mean that to piss anybody off because I really like New York City when I went there and have been there multiple times. Having been in New York City multiple times, overrated is the answer because the hype around it causes it to be overrated. And when you get a little bit older and the buildings get a little bit smaller and you realize that if you live there, you don't have any room to do anything. If you live there, you realize you don't have, if you had a dog or you had more than 2 or 3 people in your household, things start to get pretty tight. And it's also incredibly expensive to live there. And I don't think the cost that you would pay to be a resident of New York City is equal to the value that you get out of the city. So for that reason, I think it's overrated, but that's not a diss on New York because I do like it. I think it's just a little too overrated for my liking. So overrated or underrated, Drake.
Properly rated. I mean, he just consistently spits out bangers. Like people refer to him as one of the goats. I mean, it's hard to call anyone like a goat anymore because there's just I don't know. Like it's like with the NBA, it's like there's been so
Yeah,
many
yeah.
players. It's hard. There's been a lot of great rappers. Everyone's got their own unique style and their own unique tastes. But Drake constantly spits out good music, like shit, like, and he's been doing it for like a long time. He's always on the top of the charts, and it's because it's hard to fucking turn on a Drake song that you don't actually find yourself bumping to. Still, even if it's like an overplayed, beat to death one, and he's still as popular and poppy as he is, has like still kept like such a cool vibe about him. So I think Drake's properly rated as like a top tier artist.
Yeah, I still think Drake is actually underrated because that's probably something that has more so to do with my age and like when I grew up and what kind of music he was releasing. But there are so many Drake songs that were like an instrumental part of my teenage years and my young adult years. It's hard to say a guy's not at least properly rated. In this case, I'm saying he's underrated. It's hard to not value a guy who I was listening to when I was in middle school, who was pumping out bangers. And I still listen to him as a young adult in my mid 20s. And he's consistently putting shit out that finds its way on the top of the charts and just catches your ear, like you said. Bumps a little bit. It's not too much. It's a pretty decent listen. So, yeah, I think Drake's still underrated. I think he's still underrated. Overrated or underrated? Fortnite.
I don't really know how big the following on Fortnite is anymore. OG Fortnite, like when we used to first start
One of,
playing, like
OG Fortnite was one of the most underrated things that's ever existed on the
yeah,
planet.
that was I think OG Fortnite. I don't know what current Fortnite looks like. I quit playing Fortnite when they like basically like once they started putting the planes and shit in. I was like, well, you just did too much. Like you didn't need to do that. Like you just did too much in my mind. I think before people got like too good at it, and it was a new game.
Yeah,
It was like you said, wildly underrated. I don't know what the current state of it is, but I'm just gonna kind of go with what I know about it. I think the OG was underrated. And I'm sure that the new one is probably overrated because I haven't played in forever. But I'm assuming that like there's still all sorts of just bullshit that's happening. But
yep.
also the fact that there was like I never like, experienced like a cheater in Fortnite that I know of. That I mean that's pretty underrated. You
I
play Call
agree.
of Duty and you're like, oh fuck. So
Yeah, I think it's exactly right. I think the original Fortnite, first year and a half, 2 years of Fortnite, was incredibly underrated. We had no idea how much we loved it at the time, how much we would miss it when it was gone. And then anything after the planes, the mechs, the fucking Spider Man, the bullshit after that is way overrated. And Fortnite has fallen off, I think, pretty hard. It's still got a pretty loyal, I think, following, but current Fortnite is overrated. Overrated or underrated? Down to our last few here, Jared. Overrated or underrated? Espresso martinis.
Properly rated. It's like a fucking it's like a fancy man's vodka Red Bull. Delicious, kind of like swanky a little bit, and give perks you up a little bit if you're out at like a dinner. It's a perfect. You're out at dinner. It's 7 o'clock. You were gonna want to be out until about 11ish. And you want to have a couple drinks and just kind of hang out at a bar afterwards or whatever. Perfect drink to have like at the end of dinner as like a dessert. And people love it. So I'm gonna call it properly rated.
I would say espresso martinis are, I don't know, rated, because I don't think I've ever had an espresso martini.
We're gonna have to get you one. All right. Well then that's fine. We'll get you one and then we can circle back. How
Yeah.
about
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Overrated or underrated? Small coffee shops.
in the exact same token that we spoke about craft beers with, it's fucking overrated as shit. I get it. There's kind of like a nostalgic hipster vibe about a small coffee shop that I kind of like. It'd be kind of cool to have a laptop and get a coffee. 98% of the time, the coffee's actually not that fucking great that I've had there. And maybe I just haven't been to a lot of really good small coffee shops. But every time that I've ventured somewhere to go to a small coffee shop that some fucking person swore by and recommended, I always thought, yeah, that was okay. But I paid fucking 6.75 for just a cappuccino. And it's like, it didn't fucking blow me out of the water. So, and like sometimes I hate to say it, but Starbucks is consistent as shit as well, and I just kind of go know what
It's
I just
good.
go
Yeah,
with what I know, and it's like I know it's going to be good, so I do
I
that,
agree.
and yeah, and that's my take on it.
Yeah, I think small coffee shops are, I think they're properly rated, because there's that bit of kind of uniqueness and nostalgic feeling, I guess, you could get from small coffee shops that you can't really get from a Starbucks. I think additionally, there's a little bit of a factor of supporting small businesses that's actually kind of important. Like, you don't want to just fucking drive through Starbucks every day,
Yeah, it's just
dump your
the
six
corporate.
dollars, dump your $6 for your fucking venti mocha frappuccino, and then call it a day. Like, it's good to go to a small coffee shop sometimes. Yeah, it can be a little bit expensive, but it's also not a place where I think a lot of people find themselves consistently going to. I think it's a more of a venture of like once a week, maybe less than that. So, I don't know. I think small
Properly.
coffee shops are properly rated. They're a little more expensive, but you know what? The ingredients are probably a little bit better. If you get a bacon, egg, and cheese from Starbucks, they pull it out of the fucking fridge, unwrap the plastic on it, and throw it in the microwave for 30 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
at the small
Well,
coffee shop, they
well,
might cook the fucking eggs, you
there's a
know.
small one. My thing is, there's a small one right here that I try to go to. It's over in the corner, and they fucking have the work. They have some company that brings in their sandwiches, and it's the same fat thing where they just take it out and they put it in. And the sandwiches are fucking dog shit. They're like $7. I got one and I was like, that looks like the idea that you wrote on the thing looks good. And then I had it and I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever had.
Yeah.
So maybe I've just had bad experiences, and maybe somebody could point us in the right direction.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
fair.
think they're overrated.
Overrated, underrated cryptocurrency.
Well, I would have to say after the way the shit's looking today that it's all wildly underrated. I think like it's kind of such an unknown space, but there's so many things that have crashed recently. And like just go look at but if you go look at the charts, like so, you're just constantly going like this, and then people see this dip back down, kind of like levels out, and they panic and they sell it. And I think that if you have money in cryptocurrency, you should just hold the shit out of it. And because if you cash out now, you already lost money. But what are you gonna lose? You was it money that you had to spend anyway? Let it sit in there, and maybe in 10 years, you're that guy that fucking opens his account up and forgot that he bought fucking Shiba Inu coin that ends up being the
Yeah.
world dominant or some dumb shit like
Yeah.
that. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I sold him. It's only worth $340 million. Like the guy that bought the two
Yeah.
pizzas
The
or the
Bitcoin.
pizza with two I don't know what it was, 20 Bitcoin. Yeah, it's like, oh fuck, dude, that guy. No matter what way you look at it, like that guy's pissed.
Yeah.
Even if he says he's like, I didn't know, he's pissed.
I think cryptocurrency is properly rated. The value that is available in cryptocurrency, the concept of decentralized, the government doesn't have a fucking hold on your money. You can do it in whatever you want. You know, if you think there's value in one and not on the other, that's your choice. It's not manipulated like stocks are, but at the same time, there is so much bullshit and so many bullshit coins and scam ass cryptos that people make for a profit. They just create it for a profit and then run a fucking bullshit scam that I think that scam aspect, but the value that it also provides puts it right in the middle and makes it properly rated for me. Because I think it is good that you could buy Bitcoin or you could buy these other ones in the bank. The US government isn't fucking, well, we got to tax you on that. I mean, because you have a little bit of money in there. Like, no, fuck you. Like, it's decentralized, you know? So, the last one on our list before we sign off for you guys, overrated or underrated, Jared, cigars.
Dude, I hate to say this because I have a buddy that works in the cigar industry, but cigars are overrated. And this is why. The idea of a cigar is way cooler than like the execution, unless you like really have like that's what you're doing that night. If you're like pouring a little whiskey and you're sitting around a fire with some of the boys and talking, smoking a cigar, it could be nice. But in that same token, I think a lot of people don't realize you see like Joe Burrow and these big shot people and Michael Jordan smoking, these cigars, and they're like, that looks fucking cool. And then you go to have one and you're like, this thing is going to take fucking an hour of my time to smoke. It's going to cover my clothes in the smell of it. And my mouth is going to taste like a fucking ashtray for like a while. And on top of that, you don't really get like a buzz off of a cigar. It's like a taste thing because you're not inhaling it. And on top of all of that, they're expensive as shit. So I think that like just the overall image that gets displayed by people smoking cigars and championships as like a celebratory thing makes cigars overrated as shit.
You know, that's fair. I think cigars are properly rated. And the only reason up until a recent experience I had with a cigar, I would have said overrated and agreed with you. But I just recently had an experience where I was actually drinking this whiskey that was like paired with the cigar, and it was one of those situations where the guy was like, "You smoke cigars?" It's like, "Yeah, kind of, for fun, like in Mexico, or." He's like, "Try this whiskey because I know you like whiskey. Try this whiskey with this cigar." And I was like, "Okay, and I was kind of like you, like, how good could it be?" And then I took the sip of the whiskey and I smoked the cigar right afterwards. And I was like, man, that's like really pleasant and relaxing. And it was a weird experience because I hadn't felt that before, but I was like, damn, this is kind of cool. So I could see myself like when you're older, I think the value of a cigar goes up as your age goes up. Because when you're younger, you're like, it's expensive, it takes too long. When in reality, when you get older, Jared, at the end of the day, money's not going to be as much of an object, and time is also going to be like, this takes forever. But when you're 60 years old, you're like, fuck, I got nothing else to do, or like I'm golfing or
Yeah.
I'm doing. Like, I think it's cool when you go golfing. I think it's kind of a good little cigar
They
rip,
are nice. They can be nice. I just think that like you end up like you end up smoking one and like you're just kind of like, okay, like I do actually enjoy it. I really do enjoy my times. I just think that like I've had people. I have a buddy that sends me cigars and they're great cigars, like really good cigars. And then you have one and you're like, I don't know, you just fucking maybe I think you get over them while you're smoking them. Like you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I've been smoking this thing for an hour, and then it keeps going out, and the next thing you know, you're trying to light it back up. It's windy at the golf course. There's like a lot of things that go against it. I just think that like the image portrayed as a cigar being like this rich man's like
Yes, I agree.
champion thing is it makes cigars a little bit overrated for
I
me.
agree. I agree with that.
So,
So that
but
is,
that was a list. We need a list of shit.
yeah, we had a list of shit. We went a little bit long, but we appreciate you guys sticking around for the entire episode. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that first ever rendition of Overrated or Underrated. We'll come back at you next episode with another list of items.